What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Vonnie back with another YouTube video. All right, today I want to start off by saying if you could like, comment, subscribe, anything to help me, that would be lovely. But we're not here for all that. We're here to talk about why being boring is the key to success. Now, I don't mean like you get on social media and you're like, oh, no. No, I'm talking about really staying out the way, like being a lame, not being flashy for the camera. It's so hard to, when you get some money in your hand, you're like, oh, there's this new outfit. And then I could post to Instagram and see how many likes I get and see. Why? Why not just save that money for a rainy day? You feel me? Or, you get a lump sum. You've been saving up money for a minute and you're like, oh, let's just go get the new whip. 2025, 2026. And everybody gonna mess with me, man. I got the newest car, I got the newest clothes, but you're broke. You're paying a car note and that you really can't afford. It's like $800 a month. And that's not staying down. That's not being boring. You're not being boring because you got this new car that you really can't afford. You got new clothes that you probably can't afford, but are only gonna be popping for like a month or two. So it's really all about just staying down. At the end of the day, you're going to lose some people along this journey. If you're being boring, if you're being lame, you're not going out, you're not buying bottles, you're not smoking, you're not doing none of that, you're going to be lame. You're going to be considered lame. You're going to be considered a boring dude, but you're going to have a ton of cash. You feel me? Like you're not going to, it's going to be inside of you. You're going to be like, dang, I really don't do nothing, but you know the end goal. Like, what you want for your life. So it's like being boring ultimately leads to you figuring out other ways to make money because you're bored. You're like, oh, I'm not going to smoke when I'm bored. I'm not going to drink when I'm bored. You're bored. You're going to figure out more ways to make money. You're not going out every weekend. You're not spending your money. You're just staying down. And ultimately, I want to tell you, being boring leads you to invest more. It sounds like it has no correlation, but honestly, you're bored, you want to spend your money, you're like, well, let me invest in something. Let me try this, let me try that. And it's taking risks, but you have the money to do so. You have the money to take a risk. You're not just sitting on your butt and collecting a check. And when that check comes, you go and blow that whole check. You've saved up multiple checks, so you're just like, oh, I haven't spent money on nothing in a minute. Let me go spend some money on the stock market. Let me invest in my future. Let me buy, start up a little business, something like that. So it's all about, not being flashy with it. You're relying on your money to make itself more money. That's all life is about. We all have to sell a little bit of time to get money. Yes, sadly, we all have to do it, but it doesn't have to be that way forever. Over time, your money's supposed to be making you money, and with you being lame, with you being boring, you're out the way. You're not involved in no drama. Your focus is like literally on one thing. Let me make this money and let me, make it out. Because at the end of the day, you're not trying to stay in the same position forever. Like a lot of people are cool with just working their job, until they're 65, and then after that, they probably saved up, a couple $100,000, if that, but, and then they retire and they're going to try to live off of 100,000 for the rest of their life. And most people, when it comes down to that, they're back at work within 2 or 3 years. So, let your money work for you. Don't buy flashy stuff. Don't be boring. Boring people are the most likely to become millionaires. And it sounds crazy, but it's totally true. Because, look, you're saving your money, and over time, it's going to build up. That wealth is going to forever be with you. Those clothes are going to deteriorate. I don't even think I said that word right. But they're gonna, over time, the value of them are going to go down. And then nobody's going to care about those clothes. They are going to try to sell those clothes to make the money back, but they're probably going to go for, 1/4 of the value that they were. And why spend your money on some clothes that you're eventually going to sell if you're not going to profit from it? You feel me? You're not going to profit from it at all. you're losing money at the end of the day. So, you know, I feel like since I started saving, since I'm boring, I go to work, get off, watch YouTube and go to sleep, and then wake up and go to work again. Like that's the cycle. Boring, boring, boring. But I got money. I got money on. Real money on. So it's like, and I don't need to worry about, oh, can I buy these $300 shoes? Can I buy this $200 shirt? Like, nah. Mainly, I'm not gonna lie. The main thing that I really struggle with is buying fast food, which sounds crazy, but it's like, it's really not even a struggle because I might buy fast food 5 or 6 times a month. Even with that 5 or 6 times a month, it don't really matter because, like, at the end of the day, that's what I like to do for fun. So that's me spending less than $100 in a month on something that I like to do for fun. I like to eat. Like, that's my fun. I don't go buy a bottle. I don't drink every weekend. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that. I'm a low life, boring person, and that's what's eventually going to get me to the point where I am, saving up so much and investing so much that it's just like, wow, I got all this money now. Now I can go have a drink. Now I can go, smoke a little bit. Now I can't like do the stuff you need to do now so that you can live a good life later. Like boring people, we stick to routine. And if we get out of that routine, man, it just makes us feel like, man, we just wasted the day. So, I just wanted to come on here and say, don't be afraid to be boring, man. Don't be afraid to stay down for a couple months and even a couple years if it takes. If that's what it takes, man, be boring because eventually you'll end up being the person you want to be. So, flashiness, it's cool. We've all been there before, man. We wanted to show off for our peoples, but at the end of the day, anything that loses value the moment you touch it isn't worth it, especially if you're not on a high income scale. So don't worry about doing all that, man. Honestly, what I can say for me is avoiding the drama, sticking to that routine, saving aggressively, don't, if you can save $1,000 a week, do it. Because, at the end of the year, you're going to have a lot more money. If you can do it, man, that it sounds crazy, but it's like, I feel like a bunch of us could say, all right, maybe not 1,000. Well, if you can save like $600 a week, we could do that. You could do that for sure. So, be boring. That's what I'm saying. Like, being boring will lead you to a millionaire. Being boring will eventually make you invest in some stuff, try some stuff, make more riskful decisions. And, one of those risks might pay off for the long run to make you, 6 figures or a millionaire, something like that. Invest in a business, invest in something that you can do. And, at the end of the day, boring is boring, but it's going to eventually lead you to where you want to be in life. So that's all I got for this video, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Peace.